Without the light or the darkness come, hold through the night, the shadows will run. Fend off the enemy, sing out the jubilee with all the fire we can breathe. We're singing all day and you can't tame it. High tide, low tide, you know. Night time, or morning time, yeah. We're going strong, heading up, down the river. Oh Lord, I feel the reveling. I feel a change on the rise. What good's a man who's lost his soul? Can't take a stand when his flame's gone cold. Fend off the enemy, sing out the jubilee with all the fire we can breathe. We're singing all day and you can't tame it. High tide, low tide, you know. Night time, or morning time, yeah. We're going strong, headed up, down the river. Oh Lord, I feel the reveling. I feel a change on the rise. I feel a change on the ride. I feel a change on the, I feel a change on the ride. We're singing all day and you can't tame it. High tide, low tide, you know. Night time, or morning time, yeah. We're going strong, headed up, down the river. Oh Lord, I feel the reveling. I feel a change on the rise. We're singing home.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Man, this really is getting on my nerves. I guess there's 70 of you up here right now. I'm sorry that I got kicked off my last video. I don't know if it was something on my end or YouTube's end or my internet or what. I never know. I just kind of go with the flow. But here we are back at it. I don't think you missed much. What I'm going to do this video is we're not going to do any video presentation tonight, and that's perfectly fine because I have enough information to present outside of video information, but I think I may have gotten kicked off because of the video footage that I was showing in that video. So I'm just going to go with that. So as you're coming in, I'm going to ask if you guys can hear me. Okay. Yes. That's awesome. Sweet. Okay, cool. That's great. Okay. So we're going to go in and jump into it. All right. So the first thing we were going to talk about was going to be the mist. We're still going to talk about the mist. I want to just make sure I cover everything that we talked about before the mist. I believe this. All right. I believe there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that is not being talked about really presently. Okay. Everyone right now is talking about the possible YouTube. This is for entertainment purposes only. The possible nano technology that could possibly be mixed in with this fog that is showing up on video footage everywhere. I'm not going to show any videos of pretty much any stuff like that tonight. I'm going to let you do that research on your own. However, there's lots of videos going around of little nanotechs going on and little particles being shown in front of light sources at nighttime during these fog events. Okay, that's one of those. It's like, up, everybody's seeing it, everybody's talking about it. But me, being me, I'm trying to tell you guys there's other things going on in the background. So the first thing I want to make sure that I talk about in this video, also, like I did in the last one, was this. Okay, um, a couple of months ago, we had a solar event take place. By that, what I mean is we had a phenomenon take place in the atmosphere that was able to be seen from a long ways for a long ways. Okay. Um, During this one, there was an event where you could see the um, the the northern lights were no longer the northern lights. They were the everywhere lights. You could see the northern lights, the aurora borealis, all the way down to the northern part of Florida into Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, all those places. I have family in North Carolina that could see it as well. You could see this event that took place everywhere where the whole sky turned red, like red dawn everywhere. You could see just the red part of the northern lights. If you've been to the northern to see the northern lights, or you've seen actual pictures of the northern lights, you know that it's not just this covering of red all over the sky. You actually know that it goes from red to green to all these other colors, but it also looks completely different than what was being seen everywhere else. Okay, even during that event, I tried to tell you guys in the background, you need to know that Bill Gates also put out in a website for everyone to see that he was trying to produce a technology that could reflect the sunlight to reduce the chances of global warming. Okay, and in this he was trying to release barium aluminum into the air. While everybody was looking at all the other events going on in the world, they weren't paying attention to him. Okay, he wanted to spray barium aluminum, which is BAAL on your periodic table, which is Baal, the prince and power of the air. Okay, that causes you to be under an enchantment, a spell, a delusion. Why? Well, you need to know when you mix barium aluminum and then your body in aluminum itself, when absorbed underneath in your armpits, like in deodorants and things like that, and also you wrap your food in aluminum foil with hopes that parts of that will absorb into your food. Do you know why? Because aluminum itself is technically the leading cause of Alzheimer's. That's why everybody's having forgetfulness. Everybody forgets things. Everybody at the end of their life starts to just fade away. Okay, it's technically aluminum, if you want to be specific, and parasites mixed in together. Okay, that's been a thing that everybody's starting to learn about here in the last couple of years. People are waking up, but that's further behind us. Okay, that's a real thing. Aluminum foil, take it out of your deodorants, take it out of these things. Um, Same thing with fluoride and calcium chloride. Get all that stuff out of your diet. Okay, if you don't want it touching your mouth or your tongue, don't let it touch your skin. Your skin is a big body part, a big organ as well. They can absorb things. Okay, well, this big solar event that took place everywhere where everybody could see this red, okay, was actually pictured in the new Godzilla, where it's Godzilla X or Godzilla King of Monsters, the one where he's pink. Okay, he becomes pink because of this. After his hibernation of 45 years since Godzilla minus one, which took place during bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki after Pearl Harbor, okay, after that, he goes dormant and rests while there's carpet bombings and stuff feeding him nuclear radiation, even in the movie, for that long period of time until he emerges again in Godzilla Kong and Godzilla X. Okay, well, he becomes pink when he emerges from his dormant state, and he comes up into the Arctic Circle after coming out of the ice. He goes straight to the Arctic Circle where there's a solar event take place in which the whole sky turned pink, okay, from the northern lights and all that stuff. And he goes to literally absorb the radiation from the atmosphere because Godzilla doesn't feed off of humans and things like that. It feeds off radiation, okay, nuclear radiation. That's why he always goes straight to power plants and things like that. But the first thing he does is goes to this event in the atmosphere. Okay, when you take barium aluminum and put it in the atmosphere, and you put an electric charge to it, like those big towers, those 5G towers putting off all kinds of radiation in the air. Okay, when you put that in mixed with barium aluminum, you have a circuit in the sky in which things can happen. All right, things can be charged, things can be all kinds of things. Nikola Tesla got a hold of this. He was able to reach up and also able to produce these things also in a smaller form than what's already produced in the atmosphere itself. Okay, you put off electricity yourself. Okay, all that stuff is a known thing, and yet they've still got us running power lines everywhere. And you guys think that your cell phone data comes from satellites in space, when 99.6% of your data that's streamed in your phone come from underwater sea cables that's underneath the bottom of the ocean. Okay, you need to know that stuff has been set up as a big old shenanigan. All right, now with that being said, after he gets his radiation, it causes him to amplify, okay, to produce this extra side of Godzilla no one's ever seen before, okay? Well, this we had one of these events, and you also need to know that in the eclipse that took place last year, I tried to tell you guys months before that it was going to happen. An eclipse was going to come, and after the eclipse, there'd be a release of 4 Titans into the ocean. Next thing you know, the eclipse happened. The day before the eclipse, it said release the Kraken. The day after the eclipse, there's actually this huge Kraken the size of Texas in the Atlantic Ocean, followed by 3 other anomalies, and then it goes away for a long time because they're sitting dormant. In the Bible, it says the Leviathans, and also it says the creatures of the sea monsters in several translations. It says that they were created to make play with and with war at the ships at sea. Okay, they were created literally for this purpose right here. World War III. This whole reason why we're surrounded by nuclear, all kinds, not just nuclear. Okay, we have warships out the wazoo. If you guys want your mind blown, watch the live before this, in which I pointed out all these ships that have gone missing in just the last couple of 3 months. Big ships, big old cargo ships, all kinds of ships, people on them, all everything. One of them, there were 70 some people that just vanished off the ship along with the ship itself sinking. If you want a big decode, watch the live that I had before this one. Okay, not the part one of this, but actually a whole separate live that was before this one. Okay, it was nuts. I went through like 20 some different stories of all kinds of things happening in the background right now that you guys don't know about. And we're going to talk about more tonight. Okay. There's also increased warship activity taking place in the Arctic Circle right now as I am speaking to you. This is no joke. Okay. And it started all and technically like September into, no, technically it was the end of October into November is when it really hit big and stuff started going missing in the seas and all this other stuff. But it's been a pickup event since then. All right. So, how am I going to tie this into the fog? Well, easily. I've been trying to tell you guys about Cthulhu, which is in every single prophecy of every single religion. You have this last event that takes place in which all these creatures from the deep rise up against man, and it's man versus beast, okay? Just like in the Bible, the queen of the south, Leviathan, who's actually Queen Sheba in the Old Testament, present herself to Solomon. We know Queen Sheba is actually the 8-armed goddess as well from Hindu India. That was a creature of the deep that represented another form of an octopus, okay? All of that stuff tied in together. You need to know is in every story. You got Apollo and Python. You've got Hercules and Jormungandr. You've got Thor and Jormungandr. You've got all these stories that tie that stuff in together, and these beasts with the Kraken as well. Okay, all over and over and over, all over the place. Well, I started doing some math on some stuff. By math, I started piecing stuff together. Okay. Well, in Godzilla, not only does he have that radiation event in the air, but there's also this. Okay, I started watching this movie, okay, called The Mist. Okay, not The Fog, but The Mist. In this movie, The Mist, okay, this mist plays a very key role in this movie that we're no longer going to be able to watch the video of. Okay, in this movie, what happens is you have this group of people that get trapped inside a convenience store after this big fog, thick fog takes over everywhere, all over the place. No, so thick you can't get through it. But as it's coming, you have this man running into a convenience store. And when he comes in, they're like, "It took John. Something took John." And looks back, and you can't see it, but there's apparently this creature, okay, that's coming after him in the fog that started taking people left and right. Okay, but John apparently got taken first. He goes in there and tells them everybody's freaking out in the store. They're in there for days and days. But that first day, the men gather in this back room, and apparently they try to send somebody out. And what happens is opened up, and there's this Kraken creature reaching through there with his tentacles, trying to reach and grab and pull people out of that convenience store, the back part of it, and grabs this one boy, takes him out, kills him. They chop off the tentacle. They look at it. They convince the people, "Hey, look, this is real." There's this woman in there talking about this is the judgment of God. God's released the Titans. God's released this judgment onto the people, and this is the beast. Okay, it needs to sacrifice all this other crazy stuff. This woman starts chanting on and on about. Okay, but if you go out into the mist, these creatures get you. Well, on top of this big Kraken creature, these locusts, literal swarm of locusts, come and they swarm this grocery store and everything else. Okay. Now, while these big, amplified, juiced up creatures like big birds, big insects, big everything come up and invade the outside where this mist is, this fog, okay, everybody's freaking out still. But here's something else. You need to piece some things together. When Apollyon is reigning king, Abaddon, which I've been trying to tell you guys, Donald Trump, when he's reigning king, okay, when he's reigning Donald, which means Lord of the world, okay, ruler of the world, when he's reigning, it says that Apollyon will have the key to the bottomless pit and he will be called the Lord of Locusts, or as in other stories across the United States and other cultures go, the Lord of Flies, the King of Flies, the Lord of Flies, the Lord of Locusts, the Lord of Critters, okay? That have tails like scorpion that are allowed to come out of the bottomless pit, not little ones. These are big ones, okay? Huge things come out of the bottomless pit and they are allowed to torment the people for 5 months. Okay, this is part of Abaddon lifting himself up. He makes himself a savior as he's protecting the people from these beasts that he brought up. Remember, Apollyon brings the cure and brings the sickness. So that way he gets praised, but in the background he caused it to get praised. Remember, Donald Trump himself is the father of the vaccine, as he claims himself. He brought the disease and the cure. Okay, Apollyon also bring the things from the bottomless pit, but also be lifted up as the savior, as he becomes the hero of men that battles the creatures of the deep. Okay, with his mighty army that unifies together with the United Nations to come against this one world threat that's going to take place. Okay. And it actually says word for word that locusts with things like tails will come up and torment the people for 5 months. Okay. They will seek after death and not even be able to find it during this time. Big, crazy event. We also know the Salunath, the Kraken, is actually mentioned in the book of Jasher that was taken out. He was sent up during the plagues as a huge Kraken with arms as 10 cubits of a man, okay? Multiple arms, able to snatch the roofs off the houses to send the plagues into the people when they hide in their houses and hide in the rocks. He sent the Kraken up to literally rip the roofs off the houses and snatch the doors open, all that stuff to be his worker. All right. Now, in this movie, though, there is a Kraken, but there's also these other beasts that come up from the bottomless pit. Okay. But there's also this. Turns out there's this military team in there. They know something that they're not telling the people. 2 of them killed themselves because they didn't want to tell anybody. The other one, they find out that turns out the government was behind it the whole time. They had an experiment where they were literally they found out about these particles when released in this mist form, this fog form. It will cause people to see into the other dimension. It will cause them to see into the other side. And this mist also allows these creatures to come up and out and be residing in the air with these people. First of all, if they're crustacean creatures from the bottom of the ocean and water, that's the mist side of it. But there's also the radiation side of it, which is coming up with it, the charged particles and things like that that's mixing in. Well, all of that mixed is how these creatures were able to come up from the bottomless pit onto it. When the Bible, it tells you, when Apollyon opens the keys to the bottomless pit, it's not fire that comes out of bottomless pit. It's only smoke, a dense smoke, a fog comes out. Okay, as soon as he opens it, and then creatures come out that way. Okay, only when it's open. We need to know Davy Jones in SpongeBob and also in the Pirates of the Caribbean. Whenever his ship is present, there's a dense fog of charged particles, electricity, that follows him and his ship. It's green in SpongeBob when he follows him everywhere in there, but it's regular cloud, foggy form on Pirates of the Caribbean. Where everywhere he goes, that dense cloud, that fog comes, okay? Everywhere that happens, okay? And also the Kraken comes up. You see that dense fog everywhere. Well, check this out. In the movie, there's this project called Arrowhead Project. I'm going to show you. Okay? Watch this. I'm not letting anything discourage me tonight. I could be very discouraged about this video stuff because it took forever to get all this stuff together, but I'm not. All right, so I'm going to show you this. This is in the movie. This is called Arrowhead Project. Okay? The Arrowhead Project is a secret project, perhaps under the control of the shop. The project took place in Shaymore, not very far from Bridgeton, Maine. It's unknown exactly what the project was about. Public theories about Arrowhead Project: blowing up atoms. AKA like nuclear bombs and stuff like that, carpet bombings, hydrogen bombs, all that stuff. They're saying that this group was about doing stuff like that, but they're also about other stuff. His niece worked for the telephone company and heard things. They were also about an agricultural project, like spraying chemicals, like planes spraying over crops, something with atoms or splitting his atoms. And then it says a portal to another world. They thought there was other dimensions, other worlds all around us, and how they wanted to try and make a window, so they can look through and see what's on the other side. This fog is literally a release of veil so they can see into the other side, according to this movie. When they charge those particles, it allows whoever's there to see into the other side and see these creatures, see these things. All right? Well, watch this, guys, because it gets nuts. Now, you need to know, okay? This whole Kraken thing, all this stuff happens in this movie. Whether you think it's Project Bluebeam or not, you need to know. Project Bluebeam was also set up so obvious that even truthers will blame it on that when people are actually literally dying around them and stuff is actually really happening. Not everything's Project Bluebeam. Not everything's an orb or a drone. There's drones and there's orbs. There's man against machine, but there's also angel against beast, okay? If our eyes are literally opening right now to the spiritual realm, we're indeed possibly seeing angel against demon, man against beast, all taking place in front of us. Yes, I believe there's drones, and yes, I believe there's orbs, chariots, angels, wheels within wheels. Okay, and I believe I've seen both. Now, there's that. Just make sure you keep an open mind. All right. So here's this. There's the Project Arrowhead that we were talking about in the background. Okay, it's strange when you look at the Olympics, what took place at this last Olympics, it had an arrow going through the heart of Africa and out the other side, an arrowhead. Okay, yeah, this was called Project Arrowhead, but let's keep on going even further. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about once this one closes out is this tentacle thing, okay, just to show you all these tentacles and how they have claws like teeth. Okay. Um, hoping it's working. Let me see if it's good on you guys' end. Let me know if you can hear me. You haven't missed anything. When it kicks off, it does show me where it kicks off. So you didn't miss anything. And if you're a part of the 148 sitting up here, I'm sorry it's doing this. For those of you that don't know, I'm sitting in the back of a Ford pickup truck, okay, with a laptop and a little mobile internet hotspot box. That's all I got, okay? use it. That's just what I got. It's just all I got to use. All right, so we're going to move on forward here. These are the tentacles that were cut off of the beast. All right here, if you've been following along, you know where it is. But anyway, this is it, and it says numerous squid-like tentacles with black spines on them kill Norm in the storage room. Now, I wanted to bring this up because of this. I showed you guys the story about the ship that was found in the ocean, and it's one of the ships that actually is used by the HARP program. Okay, one of their things had literal claw marks down it that ripped it and destroyed it. Okay, and they found giant teeth, and they straight up said that they believed it was a kraken creature that did this boldly in the article that I read to you guys while all the election stuff was going on in the background. Nobody's paying attention to the oceans. Okay, a huge one of these was able to destroy a big ship. Okay, I also showed you guys a cargo ship that had been completely snapped in half, no joke, on the previous live stream. Okay, so here's this. In this movie, as we move forward, they make several comments about these tentacles. One of them being this: it says tentacles from planet X is how they describe it. All right, that's important because of all this new Planet X, Osiris X, all this X stuff, SpaceX stuff that's going on in today's world, and also that theory, Planet X up there, they're calling Nibiru, etc. Also, the theory of stuff coming into our atmosphere during that solar eclipse, the Anunnaki, etc., and then dropping them beasts into the ocean and releasing them into our ocean. There's all kinds of theories behind it. All of it, though, ties into the same stuff, something coming from heaven to release things on the earth. Okay, just as it says you bind the Pleiades, you bind thing on the earth, but to release in the heavens also releases in the earth. Okay, in your word. So I found it strange that they actually compared it to this whole Planet X tentacles in the movie. Okay, let's keep on going even further. All right. All right. Okay. Here's more on the Arrowhead Project. The Arrowhead Project is a military experiment performed by Shaymore, apparently intended to create a trans-dimensional window through which to peer through into other dimensions. The project insignia, which can be seen on the uniforms of white suited personnel in the film's ending, is a stylized black knight on a horse climbing a lightning bolt. Okay, this is the black angel of death on the horse, the black horse of the angel of death, the black destroyer climbing on a lightning bolt, a charged cloud. Okay, literally everything I've been talking about, from the blue flame, the lightning, okay, climbing out of the abyss. All right. On July 17th, 1980, and presumably in 2007 in the film, an experiment went awry, possibly due to an intense damage due to the storm. Remember, we've had a lot of storm increases around here and literally where the movie takes place and around, of tornadoes and everything else, and is believed to have released the mist and its monsters into the world from another dimension. Though it never made certain in either the novel or the finished film whether or not the Arrowhead Project truly was released the mist and the creature into our universe. The original script for the film included the prologue scene. In it, the scientists and the military at Arrowhead Project Base successfully opened a portal to another dimension inside a tank. Let's talk about all the portals opening, from the Pope opening portals all the way to CERN, Switzerland opening portals to the Eclipse opening portals. Well, this is also about them opening portals into other dimensions and releasing through a mist a bunch of other creatures from another dimension onto the land using the mist technology that they've developed. Project Arrowhead has, exactly as I've been trying to tell you. Okay, so let's move forward. So we have a lot to discuss, and it's already been 30 minutes. Let's also talk about this movie. You guys ever seen Love and Monsters? I love this movie. Watch this movie. This is about a 7-year tribulation. And in this tribulation, you see the Kraken creature right here, right? Well, in this 7-year tribulation creature, there's an apocalypse that takes place in the world, and all these insect creatures that happen to be mixed with nuclear radiation that took place start coming out of the sea onto the land, forcing all the people of the earth to hide in the cave, hide in the rocks, hide in the bunkers of the earth, because all these beasts came onto the land for 7 years, a 7-year tribulation. And all of those were krakens, and there was also a giant crab and those stuff like we've talked about in this movie as well. Same exact stuff that we're talking about here. And it all happened due to the blah da da da. Okay. And it was right in the middle of all that. They released this stuff during the middle of 19 Ovid. Okay. There we go. I'll say it like that. So watch that as well, because you'll see the same exact storyline. Now, let's go on even further. I want to show you something else that's coming. All right. There's apparently, this was October 24th. Okay, there's actually more recent stuff that we'll look at closer to the end, but there's a cosmic horror show coming. I need to tell you guys, I've had a bunch of horrible, scary visions, the same vision about a coming solar event of stars going back and forth crazy, an actual war in the heavens, and actually people getting sucked up and tossed into the outer darkness. Everybody's looking for a rapture to get sucked up in there and taken to a good place, but don't they forget that the Bible said first the tares are snatched up and they're taken to the lake of fire. Then the wheat are gathered into the barn. Okay, it says that word for word. Where in my vision, people are taken up and tossed literally into outer darkness by these literal stars that come down to be actual crazy looking UFO type things, man. They're sucking people up to the bottom of them, and then they spin really quick and just toss people different directions as it picks up speed. That's what I saw in my vision. It was horrible, scary. Okay. Well, apparently this is coming. In a cosmic horror show, this zombie star survived a supernova explosion. Okay. The grave of an undead white dwarf star is marked by a cosmic funeral wreath. Okay, astronomers have intensely studied a zombie star lurking in the heart of a supernova wreckage such as cosmic explosion, should have undead white dwarf star, but instead it marked the celestial grave with flower created from debris. Now astronomers have turned the event into a 3D model. Humanity first became the star's death around 1181 when a new star or guest star appeared in the constellation of Cassiopeia, whatever. So I need to show you this, okay? It's saying that this same star erupted 1,000 years ago, ultimately. All right, right here. But on top of that, what they have going on now is they've been in waiting for a while now, this year, for it to be a celestial event in which the world sees a huge supernova explosion, okay, which would ultimately be a giant solar flare, which would ultimately knock the power out everywhere in the world. They're saying that so they have an excuse for when the grid shuts down and for when this stuff happens, okay? No joke. These kind of supernovas are usually so uniform that astronomers refer to them as standard candles because it's possible to use them when measuring celestial distances. To be clear, these aren't the type of supernovas that mark the death of a star when the star runs out of fuel needed for nuclear fusion and collapses under all that fancy talk. Okay. I think something big is going to happen in the sky. Okay. And this is just a big build up to it. But I want to show you this too, that they're expecting some big solar event coming up. They don't have a date marked on it, but anyway, I had that included in here as a little side talk. But I want to show you this. Back to the fog. Sorry that I got off topic with that, but I had it in here to show you, so I just had to go through it. Here's this, okay? If you don't believe me about the fog being part of the Flying Dutchman, which is the one who has the key to the bottomless pit, Davy Jones' locker, to bring the Kraken and the other beasts up, well, watch this. The Flying Dutchman is a legendary ghost ship that is often depicted sailing through thick fog, just like this every time. And it's actually part of the description of this. The Flying Dutchman is said to be doomed to sail the sea forever, and his appearance is believed to be a sign of impending disaster. You see the fog, you see the ship, disaster is coming. The ship is often described as glowing with an eerie light and its crew moving like shadows across the deck. The legend of the Flying Dutchman is to have originated in the 17th century during the golden age of the Dutch East India Company. The oldest known version of the story dates back to the late 18th century. And all this is New World stuff, by the way, is my whole point with pointing in these dates. I try to tell you guys from 1500 forwards, there's a lot of stuff that took place. All right. So let's move forward. Okay. Let's look at this. All right. This is Davy Jones. Okay. Davy Jones was the ruler of the seven seas, or the seven wonders of the world, or the seven deadly sins, or the seven candlesticks before the Father. Or also, there's this. There's the seven colors of the rainbow. There's the seven everywhere. But anyway, let's look at this. Davy Jones is the ruler of the seven seas, a supernatural force condemned for eternity to captain the Flying Dutchman. Once a man who ran a full of that which vexes all men, Jones became as much sea creature as he was human, a fearsome captain, a ruthless and heartless beast, striking terror into the bravest sailors as the devil of the deep. He became the stuff of various myths and legends of pirate lore, particularly relating to the Dutchman and Davy Jones' locker. I just want to show you guys some other names for him, just as it talks about him being Apollyon, being the Lord of the bottomless pit, the king over the pit, Lord of Bell over the deep. Okay, well, here's the name of literal David Jones, the Lord of the deep, the devil of the deep, the Lord of the locker, the Lord of the sea, the ruler of the ocean, depths, deep, 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 deep. See that? Captain. All right. Also known as Davy J. Old Hob, Fish Face. By the way, if you don't know, Jones is another form of our John character we've been talking about, just like Jonah, Jonas, Jonah, Hanan. We can go on and on with that whole decode as well. Okay, Davy Jones is in charge of releasing the Kraken. Okay, the Kraken. Here's the Kraken here, swallowing who? Johnny Depp, who then holds the keys. So Johnny takes the keys from Jones, and Johnny becomes the one that holds the keys to the bottomless pit. Okay. And by the way, the Kraken is also known as what? Leviathan, Beastie, the pet, destruction. Okay, so there's all that. At World's End is where you can find that tale. Okay. Same thing. That's who he's in charge of, is literal the Kraken, releasing him onto the earth. But then there's this, okay? Now I'm going to take you down another rabbit hole. We're going to tie in some other stuff we're talking about. Remember the other day I was showing you videos about stuff that's been going on in the oceans? And that was only 3 days ago. The 26th or 27th, I showed you events in which battleships have been involved, in which full-blown ships have gone missing and snapped in half, a whole lot of that stuff all the way up until the 26th, 27th. Okay, well, stuff has still been going on just since 3 days ago. Okay, remember I was telling you the Philippine Sea, the South China Sea, that China Sea area over there, and especially Taiwan. There has been patrolling, not just Chinese warships, but the greatest China warship assembly ever made. Okay, they've released more warships at once over in that part right now than ever in history. Okay, have been released over there, mixed in with Russian warships, no joke, Marines, and Japanese warships, and now United States has somehow, even during all this war, we're over there mixed in with Russia and Chinese warships, and it's not us going to war with one another. Well, just since the other day, we now have this rush to the Arctic Circle. Okay, my wife had sent me something earlier. I don't think I have it pulled up here, but literally as of today and yesterday, there's something going on at the Arctic Circle. Remember what I told you? Whenever this fog event happened in Godzilla and that pink stuff happened, he went straight to the Arctic Circle for the nuclear radiation stuff that was projecting out of there. Well, guess what else happened? Greenland had a blackout. Greenland literally had all their power shut down unexpectedly right at the same time of all this. Don't believe me? Look it up. Okay. Now, on top of that, I started doing some investigating about like why they're patrolling, especially the South China Sea and the Taiwan area. They're going missing outside of the Philippines and stuff. Well, one of the main places where stuff is being found, here's proof right here. U.S. Navy ship while spotted out here, while also the China Coast Guard is spotted out here. Here's this video, okay? U.S. Navy ship spotted near Scarborough amid China patrol. There's your China Coast Guard patrolling all out there like crazy, but then the U.S. mixed in with it as well. You see this? Near Scarborough Shoal. Don't get it confused with Sheol. I'm going to blow your mind. Remember, I told you everything's for a reason. The Pope opened St. Peter's Basilica. St. Peter was given the keys to the bottomless pit, the gates of hell, and told the gates of hell will not prevail against you, Peter. That's what took place there. No joke. All right. Well, you need to know this as well. Peter was told to watch over the flock and to keep the flock and all of this stuff. Well, we know also that we don't go anywhere when we die. We rest. Okay, they gathered in Abraham's bosom before Christ emptied Abraham's bosom, where there's still Sheol, the heart of the earth now, in which death and Hades and the sea will give up its dead one more time again. And until then, there is indeed a gathering spirit in the heart of the earth. It is what it is. Okay. However, check this out. I did some research on this stuff here, and it's crazy. This stuff I figured out. We need to know what took place over in the same area. This is where you had Pearl Harbor, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Hiroshima and Nagasaki is right up in the northern tip of this. The northwest side of the Philippines and the Taiwan is you get up in Japan. All that coastline right there is where you had that event take place and all the Godzillas and everything else. Watch this. All right. Here's this one. There's been a Russian warship that's been tracked for 5 days in the UK coast as well. Remember what happened over there? We had 3 different ships in the middle of the night. They didn't know why, and the whole ship sunk and people died. No Russian warships being spotted all over the place now with no one knowing really still why. When was this? 9 hours ago. 9 hours ago. Well, here we are again. Let's look at this one. What is the day? Where's the date? Okay. Update down there. Tartus. All right, this was December 3rd. Here's your Russian stuff, okay? Where they're evacuating Navy ships from Syria. Guess where they're evacuating them from? Tartus. There's been activity going on in Tartus. Tartus is a lot of tourists. Just like Tartaria, Tartarus comes from the prison of the fallen ones. Tartaria is the city of the prison of the fallen ones. Okay? Tartarus is guarded by Russia. Well, they've abandoned ship. They're pulling all their warships out for some reason on Tartarus. Check this out. Oh man, somebody said this robot. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Man. All right. Keep on going. I'm sorry about this. I'm just I gotta do the best I can. I'm in the middle of Texas, in the middle of nowhere. Okay. But all right, let's move forward. All right. Here's more. Okay. So yeah, somebody's focusing on the banners. I can't remove the banners. It won't let me do anything on my end. I'm gonna try this again in the morning, folks. I will see you then.